Krodha, anger, Lobha, greed, Cha, also, Adaradachada, from between the lips, Asya, from the mouth, Vak, speaking, Sindavaha, the seas, Medha, from the penis, Nirritihi, low activities, Payoho, from the anus, Agashrayaha, reservoir of all vices. Translation and purport by Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada. Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma. Anger from between his eyebrows, greed from between his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, the oceans from his penis, and the low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. Please repeat the translation. Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma. Anger from between his eyebrows, greed from between his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, the ocean from his penis, and low and above from his anus, the source of all sins. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. However great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and the desire for low activities until one is in the line of devotion service to the Lord. When one is frustrated in lust and lower desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate their mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows. Whereas the devotees of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. When it is recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. A devotee of the Lord always has a Lord in his mind, and thus he does not need to be desireless because all his desires are in relationship with the service of the Lord. The power of speaking is called as Saraswati, or the goddess of learning, and the birthplace of the goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahma. Even if a man is endowed with the favor of the goddess of learning, it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desire, and his eyebrows to display some symptoms of anger. One may be very learned in the mundane estimation, but does not mean that he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith. Doesn't see Bhaktivedanta purport. Om ajnanatimirandasya jnananjana shalakaya chakshurum militam yena tasmai shri gurave namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin iti namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaurabhaktarunda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, in the last verse, it's continuation of various elements being generated, personalities, elements from the body of Brahma. So, here it continues, Hriddhi Kamaha, the desire or lust generated from the heart. Brvah Krodho, anger was generated between his eyebrows. Lobhascha Adaradhachadat, between his lips. Lobha, greed was generated. Asyadvak, from his mouth, the power of speaking. Sindavo Medran, from his genital, oceans were generated. Nirritihi Payo, the low activities are generated from the anus, which is a place called as Agashraya, the place or the reservoir of all vices. All sinful tendencies are present in that specific part. So in the purport, Prabhupada was giving various angles about this lust, desire. He says, can we give up this lust and desire? However great one may be in the estimation of mundane education and learning, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. Without any spirituality touch, all material qualifications are of no use. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and desire for low activities until one is in the line of devotion service to the Lord. So, unless one comes to the higher platform, it is very difficult to give up lust and desire. When one is frustrated in lust and low desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. So, it's a systematic way how the evolution of various elemental things happen. When lust or desire is not satisfied, anger, it is focused as anger. Or if it is satisfied, it becomes pride. And if it is not satisfied, then I'll be hankering for it. Greed. And if somebody else has, I don't have, I become envious of him. In that way, all the 6 qualities becomes generated. So here, further it says, can one become desireless? Okay, desire is a problem. Can we control the desire? Can we become desireless? The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. Only Mayavadis speak the concept of desireless, becoming like a stone, inert. But in Vaishnava philosophy, there is no chance of becoming desireless. When it is recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. So desireless means, like, there is one concept called maunam. People accept mauna vrata, means to become silent, not to speak anything. But acharyas say maunam means not to speak anything nonsense. Speaking only about the Supreme Lord, Krishna Katha is also called as maunam. So similarly, becoming desireless means any desire which is going to divert us away from Krishna consciousness is to be concept of desirelessness. This is what is our Vaishnava consideration. A devotee of the Lord always has the Lord in his mind and thus does not need to be desireless because all his desires are in relationship with the Lord, in the service of the Lord. So there is, because he has no independent desire, in the way you can say he is desireless, because all his desires are the desires of the Lord. So what is a speciality in a devotee? Even if he is endowed with favor of learning, and it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desires, his eyebrows display the symptoms of anger. So material education, material qualifications does not mean that he is not free, he is free from all these qualities. One may be very learned in mundane estimation, but does not mean that he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith. So, what is this lust? Today I thought of explaining about 2 concepts. One is about this lust, other about this greed. Because anger was earlier discussed in connection with Lord Shiva's birth. Now the other 2 qualities and how they are detrimental for us in advancement in Krishna consciousness. So, in Bhagavad Gita, a glimpse of this lust aspect has been explained in 3rd chapter. So Arjuna was asking one question, what is that force? Even though I am not interested, it is pulling me in that direction. So Krishna says it is kama yesha, krodha yesha, rajoguna samudbhavaha. Because of modes of passion, this lust awakens and it conquers one's personality. Then Krishna gives, because, and he says it is an eternal enemy. Nitya Vairina, it is an eternal enemy. Now, if you say an enemy, there is a space where enemy will sit. If you say a personality, there will be a house, there will be an office. So where to meet, you will know. So if you say an enemy, you should know where to meet him. There are 3 places: mind, intelligence and senses. These are the sitting places of the lust. Then there are different degrees of covering of this lust. The first one was a fire in the smoke. The second one was the dust on the mirror. The third one was baby in the embryo. So Acharyas explain these 3 refers to Sattvaguna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna. The first one is Sattva Guna, the fire and the smoke. With little endeavor, you blow little air, the smoke will vanish and fire is immediately awakened. Then the second one was Rajoguna. Rajoguna, the dust is there on a mirror, you blow the air, dust will not go. That endeavor is not sufficient. You require to pour water, you have to wipe it with a cloth, paper, everything, something you have to use. Extra endeavor is required. Then the third one is Tamoguna, a child in the womb. You blow air, child will not come out. So by wiping all these things, by pushing, it will not come out. It has to be cut and the baby has to be brought out. So that is Tamoguna. Means for a person to come back to spirituality, a person in Tamoguna, it will be very difficult to come out of the situation. Rajoguna will be medium, but Sattvaguna will be very faster. Then the process of coming out has been given by opportunity of hierarchy. Indriyani paranyahur indriyebhya param manaha manasastu para buddher yo buddhe paratastu sa. There is a hierarchy in the body. You follow the system. If there is a problem with the gross senses or gross matter, control it by senses. If it is problem with the senses, control it by mind. If it is a problem with the mind, control it by intelligence. And if it is a problem with the intelligence, control with the soul level. So Krishna had explained. Then he says in the last, Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyam atmanam atmanaha jehi shatrum mahabaho kama rupam durashadam. This kama, which is very difficult to conquer, can be conquered. Jehi shatrum, you will be able to conquer. Sir, samstabhyam atmanam atmanaha, by higher sense, conquer the lower self. And this is the process, that is what Krishna had given in a glimpse, how to conquer this lust. Because there are three things which will divert a living entity or which will guide a living entity towards hell. In 16th chapter, Krishna says, 3 gates to hell. Kama, Krodha, Tata, Lobhas. Anger, greed and lust. They are the 3 gateways to hell. So now, how to come out of this anger or how to come out of this lust? So in Bhagavatam, 11th canto, there is a verse which says, Nakama karma bijanam yasya chetasi sambhavaha vasudaivaika nilayaha savai bhagavatottamaha. So one who is having Vasudeva eka nilayaha, or one who has taken exclusive shelter of the Supreme Lord, Vasudeva, he becomes free from all fruitive activities, which are all based on material lust. Lusty means to enjoy. Enjoy means fruitive activity. So one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is freed even from the desire to enjoy material sense gratification. Nakama karma bijanam. Nakama karma bijanam. Both will be completely gone. Then, yasya chetasi sambhavaha. By plans for enjoying sex life, social prestige, money cannot develop within his mind. Yasya chetasi sambhavaha. Sambhavaha, there will not be any possibility in his mind to enjoy the sense gratificatory concepts. That's why he is known as Savai Bhagavatottamaha. He is considered as Bhagavatottama, a pure devotee of the Lord on the highest platform. So next, the analysis of his lust was explained by Prahlad Maharaj in the 7th canto. In a systematic way, he presents what is problem with the lust and what is the solution to come out of it also. So, the degrees of lust as per Bhagavatam, this is. One is the seed of material existence, the basic root itself. The root cause of material existence is the seed of lusty desire in the core of everyone's heart. Everybody wants to imitate Krishna. This is the seed of material existence. Then, in spiritual lust, there are 6 things, anarthas. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. And if you are intelligent enough, Krishna says, these can be utilized. Acharya says, all these 6 can be utilized for the service of the Supreme Lord and his devotee. Like anger. How can anger be utilized? Anger can be utilized. Krodha, Bhakta, Dveshi, Jane. Anger can be exhibited for the people who are envious of the devotees. Greed. How greed can be utilized? Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. The greediness to have more and more of Lord and His mercy. In that way, everything has a spiritual utilization. So like Prahlad says, my Lord, my mind is extremely sinful and lusty, and even great devotees feel they are under the influence of lust. As a humble humility, they say, but they are not under any of these material qualities, because they are all Bhagavatottamaha. But as a common man, they feel so that others are also able to relate with them. Then, how do you regulate this lust? In the Varnashrama system, opportunity is given only for grahasthas to engage in sense gratification. That too, only at the time of procreation, not at any other time. So, determination is by making plans, one should give up lusty desires for sense gratification. The solution to come out of it is by making plans, systematic plans. See, what is problem with human form of life compared to animal life? See, lust means generally we think male and female enjoyment. Lust has different definitions, depend upon which sense are we using it. Eyes want beautiful form, that is lust. Ears want beautiful music, that is lust. Tongue wants to taste delicacies, that is lust. Enjoying tendency is called as lust. The skin wants something soft to touch. The nose wants aromas to be taken into it. In animal life, any animal is at any time is activated by only one sense. Like bees, they are carried away by the fragrance of the flowers. Moths, they are carried away by the glaring of the fire. Elephant, she is carried away by the she-elephant. Deer, it becomes carried away by the flute music of a hunter. Then one more. Fish, it becomes carried away by the bait offered by the fisherman. And all of them lose their life in this perspective, in this endeavor. But they are only carried away by one sense. At any time, only one sense is active. But for human being, all five senses are simultaneously active. All five senses, five horses, five directions, they are pulling us. So that is the unfortunate situation. But he has got advantage also, because all five senses can be simultaneously be engaged in the service of the Lord also. To see beautiful form, to smell nice fragrance, to hear nice Krishna Katha, to taste nice prasadam, to touch the deities, devotees. In that way, all five can be utilized in the service of the Lord also. This is greatest opportunity for us. So in that way, we are in a precarious situation for those who are not devotees. Next, liberation from lust. The Shishi Radha Govinda ki. By absorption, the gopis by their lusty desires obtained the mercy of Krishna. Completely always thinking of Krishna, they became free from the lusty tendencies. By servitude, by service to Guru, hearing, glorifying and remembering the Lord, deity worship, saintly association, offering due respects to all living entities, one can cut down the influence of lust and attain loving service to the Lord. By service to various personalities, higher personalities, one can conquer lust. Next, by yoga, yoga indriya samyama. By practicing mystic yoga system or Ashtanga yoga system, one can regulate the senses, one can regulate the mind. These are the three ways how liberation from lust can be possible. Then, what are the effects of this lust? What will happen to us when somebody is infatuated by lusty things? He'll be unhappy. Influenced by lust and greed, one finds no happiness everywhere. Because whatever he has, he is not satisfied. Greedy means. So he will never be happy. Next, anger. When unfulfilled lusty desires are there, one becomes angry. Then he endeavors something, result will be something, contrary results will be there. Then he is always disturbed, because he is not satisfied, he is always disturbed. Next, losses from lust, senses, mind, body, religion, patience, intelligence, shyness, opulence, strength, memory and truthfulness are completely vanquished. All good qualities vanish in a person. Then finally, lust leads to ignorance, that is bereft of all knowledge. So how you can say 2.62 Bhagavad Gita, Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsam Sangasteshopajayate Sangat Sangayate Kama. Sangat Sanjayate Kama. First thing is, in association, in contemplation, we develop desire. If the desire is not satisfied, it turns into anger. Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Anger results in delusion. Sammohat smriti vibhramaha. Delusion leads to disturbed intelligence. Smriti bhramshat buddhinashaha. Buddhinashat pranashyati. That one desire, one lusty desire, brings down a personality to a lower state. Means one is bereft of all knowledge. Then, analogies of lust. One should be fully absorbed in thoughts of Krishna, lusty absorption. Overindulgence, a chance to become detestable. There are some things given. If you too much enjoy, you may have distaste for it. Like somebody is interested in eating. Somebody wants to eat only mangoes. So that day, mango festival day, we are all observing. Earlier, in 2 minutes, they were eating 7 mangoes. Then later it came to 1 minute, they were eating 10 mangoes. After that, I think, half or one last round? 1 minute only. Okay, last final also. In 1 minute, they were eating some 20 mangoes. After that, the whole night they would have had a torture. And if every time, breakfast, lunch, dinner, for every day, it's only mango, 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 you become vexed up with mango. You don't want to see mango at all for future. So by overindulgence, one can come out of this lust. Minute opportunity, a small facility. Not everybody will become. Because they say overindulgence is like adding more fire or more fuel into the fire. So there is, either way, you become absorbed or you can become detached also. Next. Itching. Kanduyayena karyoriha dukkha dukkam. Prahlad Maharaj says, this sense gratification is like an itching. At the time of itching, you may feel comfortable, but after some time, it will be a wound. There will be blood. There will be further effects. So, simple thing is, better to tolerate and avoid the consequences of desires. Distress. So, this is something about lust. The next thing is about greed. Lobha. So, Nectar of Devotion gives the definition of what is greed. Desires to expand the mind by performing mystic yoga, merging in the existence of Brahman, or attaining whimsical material prosperity are all included within the category of greed, laulya. All attempts to acquire such material benefits or so-called spiritual advancement are impediments on the path of Krishna consciousness. Because anything except pure devotional service is an impediment. Raga and one more is, two things are obstacles on the path. Raga and Raga Dvesha. They are obstacles on the path of advancement. They are stones. Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter explains that. Raga Dvesha Vimuktanam. Only those who are free from these two can advance in spiritual life. So how Genesis? The Genesis means the birth of greed. In 14th chapter, Krishna explains, when there is an increase in the mode of passion, the symptoms of great attachment, fruitive activity, intense endeavor, and uncontrollable desires and hankering develop. This uncontrollable desires is called as greed. Because of passion, excessive passion, it develops into greed. From the mode of goodness, real knowledge develops. From the mode of passion, greed develops. In the mode of passion, people become greedy and their hankering for sense enjoyment has no limit. One can see that even if he has enough money and adequate arrangements for sense gratification, there is neither happiness nor peace of mind in him. That is not possible because one is situated in the mode of passion. So they are continuously running behind this greed to be satisfied, but they can never be satisfied. So how this greed develops? Lust satisfied generates into greed. Lust not satisfied generates into anger. So effects of lust, when it is satisfied, it becomes greedy. When it is not satisfied, it becomes anger. Then a man becomes too greedy for wealth and power when he has no higher objective in life. So when there is no higher objective, it leads towards greediness. And when he thinks that this earthly life of few years is all in all, so that excessive power, excessive greed for wealth, when he has no higher aim. Then, what are the effects of this greed? Because of the greed for the sake of senses, the spiritual strength, education, austerity, reputation of a devotee, and his knowledge gradually vanishes. So, these 5 things, because of excessive greed, will vanish. Then, extensive desires. In 4th canto, it's explained. All living entities within this material world are mad after planning things, and they are always busy with a desire to do this or do that. This is due to uncontrollable greed. The greed for material enjoyment is always existing in the living entity, but the Lordship is always alert. You strike him at a particular time just as a snake seizes a mouse and very easily swallows him. Because of attachment, greed and lust, 3 formidable forces that prevent one from concentrating upon the lotus feet of the Lord. These 3 things are a deviation for this. Attachment, greed and lust. Then how do we become freedom from this greediness? By establishing bhakti within the heart, one can become free from this greediness. And by discussing ill effects over accumulation, one can become free from this greediness. And the effect of freedom of greed, mind becomes purified and transcends dualities. Ragadvaisha vimuktanam, he becomes free from these 2. Then there is no more pinching, no more pulling towards that direction. And he attains the supreme destination of back home, back to Godhead. Then finally, Prabhupada explains, since these things cannot be stopped, they only have to be detailed in Krishna consciousness. And devotee was asking, just as you have given an example of Krodha by Lord Hanuman in burning Lanka, are there any such instances where Lobha can be personified Lord Krishna's desire? Prabhupada, yes, just like gopis. They are always hankering, when shall we see Krishna? When shall we see Krishna? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Shunyayitam Jagat Sarvam Govinda Virhename. I see everything vacant without Govinda. This is ecstasy of Lobha to meet Krishna. So when will we be strongly hankering after Krishna, then Lobha is properly utilized. Then further he says, Laulyam Ekalam Mulyam. This is greediness. So Rupa Goswami advises, Krishna Bhakti Rasabhavita Madhi Kriyatam Yadi Kutopi Labhyate. This Krishna consciousness you purchase if it is available in the market. Then if you are asking to purchase, what is the price? What is the mulya? Tatra laulyam ekalam mulyam. It is your extensive greediness is the only price to possess Krishna Bhakti. It is very rare, but if you have got this greediness, you can get Krishna. So in this way, the opportunity to dovetail these tendencies were also presented by Acharyas in a practical way, how we can also come out of these effects. So I was just searching in Google for some story which talks about the effects of greediness and other things. So then I came across one story about Vedanta Desikan, his life history. He's a great personality, a great Acharya in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. His parents, Anantashuri and Tottarammal, a great devotees of Lord, Varadaraja. They had been praying to the Lord for a son. So after a long desire, one day the Lord appeared in a dream to Anantashuri and said, please come and have my darshan in Tirumala, you will have a son. And to the wife also, Padmavati Devi appeared and said, you please come and have my darshan there, you will be blessed with a son. So next day morning, both of them were expressing their desires so that they could go to have darshan of the Lord. Now both it was because both of them are now got from Srinivasa and his wife Padmavati. So both of them went to Tirupati, when Tirumala, they had darshan. So when they were having darshan, the wife had a dream in which Lord Srinivasa appeared as a small boy and handed over the bell, what we use like bell, to her and asked her to swallow that bell. And as soon as she swallowed that bell, the Lord disappeared, and suddenly the bell in the altar was vanishing. So everybody were thinking maybe somebody had stolen away that bell or something like that. That night, to the head priest, Lord informed that this is the thing, he had given that bell, and very soon a great personality is going to take birth. So they were very happy. The Lord gave them darshan, and the Lord inspired them. So they came back to their native. After 12 years, after this, they had a beautiful son, whom they have named him as Venkatanatha, on remembrance of Lord Srinivasa's mercy upon them. He is like personification of the bell of the Lord. By making the bell, you make the sound. He is like the sound to divert away all the unwanted things and to preach this message of the Lord, of this Vaishnava philosophy, far and wide. Then, when he was small boy, he was taken as a child under his uncle, whose name was known as Atreya Ramanujar. So one day, the uncle took the small boy, 5-year-old boy, to one meeting. It is known as Kalakshepam, where great personalities meet and discuss about Vedic subjects. And this project was led by one Guru, Nadattar Ammal, a great another Vaishnava in the Sampradaya. So when he saw this small boy, he became very much fascinated by that small boy, and he immediately called that boy to come onto the stage. And he hugged him and kissed him, and he said, "Who are you?" All these things and all. After that, when he wanted to start the lecture where he had stopped, he was asking his disciples and all the other people, "Where did I stop?" So everybody were under confusion, and everybody were not able to give proper answer. But the small boy, Venkatanathan, he exactly says the point where that philosophy was stopped and what the concept was being communicated in a very precise way. Then the Guru becomes very much satisfied, and he wanted to take him as his student, but because he was too elderly age, he blesses him and he says, very soon you will become a great Acharya in the Parampara system, and you will spread this knowledge far and wide. Jai Shri Shri Radha Lakshmi Narasimha Swamy. So then, after his parents performed his samskaras, his Upanayana and other formalities, he went to the proper school under his uncle only. So then he was taught under Kavya, Nataka and Shastra. 3 subjects he was very expert. Then he was married. After his education, he was married to a girl called as Tirumangayar. Then after the death of his Guru, he travelled to Tiruvahindrapuram and he offered prayers to the Lord there. After offering prayers to the Lord, he came out of the temple, sat on a wall. It was called as Aushadagiri, which is opposite to Lord Narasimha's temple there. He sat under a tree, Ashwatha tree, and started reciting Garuda mantra, which was taught by his uncle. Because of his sincerity and prayer, Lord Garuda appeared there, and he blessed him with one small deity of Hayagriva. And he gave him the mantra to recite or to awaken the blessings of Lord Hayagriva. So after then, he recited the Hayagriva mantra, and he had darshan of Lord Hayagriva. And he blessed him that he will be, because Lord of knowledge is Hayagriva, that very soon he will become master of all the Vedic knowledge. So he is very well versed in Sanskrit, in Tamil, and one is called as Prakirtam, a mixture of Sanskrit and Tamil. He is very well versed in all these 3 languages. He is a strong debater. His Vakjalam is very expert. That's why Lord, he was given a title by Kavi Tarkika Simham, a lion among poets. He is called as Kavi Tarkika Simham. So once when he went to Srirangam, he won a debate, and he compiled the entire debate into called as Shatadushani. Because of this, he was conferred the title Vedanta Desikar by the Lord Ranganatha himself. And Ranganayaki, she gave him a title Sarvatantra Swatantar. So because he was becoming very popular, there were many enemies also. They became jealous of him. So one day, because he is very austere, very simple man, not dependent upon many other things. So they had sent one brahmachari to this Vedanta Desikar and asked him to give money, bhiksha, because he is a grahastha. So Vedanta Desikar, understanding the situation, he took him to the altar of Mahalakshmi and he offered her Stri Stuti. As soon as he finished the recitation, there was rain of gold coins. So in that way, that thing is covered. But because he was becoming even more popular by their acts, they become even more jealous. One of them had sent one snake charmer to attack Vedanta Desikar. He left one snake. So Vedanta Desikar, not to disturb, he put 7 lines around his, wherever he is sitting. The snake could not cross any of these lines. Then the snake charmer, now being challenged, he sent one heavy snake called as Sangabalan. This snake was able to cross the lines and it was rushing towards Vedanta Desikar to attack him. So at that time, Vedanta Desikar remembers Lord Garuda and he offers praise to Garuda. Immediately Garuda comes there, picks up that snake and goes away. Now that snake charmer became bereft of all his thing. Then he'll come, fall at his feet and beg forgiveness and request him to give back his snake so that he will go back and he will not disturb anybody else. Then again he offers a prayers to satisfy Garuda, where Garuda brings back and hands over that snake back to that person. So then one more place, one jealous Vidwan challenged Vedanta Desikar to compose 1000 verses in overnight. In the evening, by tomorrow morning you are supposed to compose 1000 verses on the glories of lotus feet of Lord Ranganatha. So he accepted the challenge. By next day morning, he composed 1000 verses by name Paduka Sahasram. 1000 verses glorifying lotus feet of Lord Ranganatha. So once one of his friends had been under the Vijayanagara kingdom, he had sent him a request by asking him to come, because you are very poor, you come here, you can take gifts from our king and you can be satisfied. Then he sent him one message called as Vairagya Panchakam, the 5 verses which glorify detachment. One of that verse it says, Nasti Pitra Arjitam Kinchit, Namaya Kinchit Arjitam, Asti me Hasti Sailagre, Vastu Paitamaham Danam. He said, Nasti Pitra Arjitam Kinchit. I don't have any money which was given by my father. Namaya Kinchit Arjitam. Neither I had worked hard to raise any money from my side. But even though I don't have money, I had one great riches, great sampada. Astime, I have one very big money, treasure. Hasta Shailagiri, on this hill called as Hasta Shailagiri, where Lord Brahma had meditated and brought Lord to this material world, who is known as Vardaraja. So he is the greatest treasure I have. Vastu Paitamaham Danam. When I have this highest dana, why I want some insignificant dana of this material world? So in that way he had sent a message, and this became known as Vairagya Panchakam. So in that way, see how when devotees, they are satisfied with whatever they have. Because that is a mood what Bhagavad Gita Krishna says, Yadrishta Labha Santushta. Be satisfied with whatever we have. So all the jealous, envious people, all their endeavors have only been utilized by the Lord in glorifying the devotee. But they will becoming a Vaishnava offense, all these things and all, they are destroying their spiritual life. But here, we have to be very careful, all these material qualities which are generated from the body of Brahma, because they are all to bind the living entity in this material world. Brahma's duty is to create facilities so that Jiva becomes even bound even more in this material world. And it is said those who are extremely sinful, they pass away their life through the anus. Generally different places are there, 9 holes are there by which a Jiva can quit his body. For those who are extremely sinful, they pass their life by the anus. That is where it is mentioned as the death, which is the source of all sins, abominable activities. So we have to be very careful We should be very conscious not to get carried away by these material qualities. Engage dedicatedly in the service of the Lord, so that very soon we go back home, back to Godhead, and permanently we'll be able to do service to the Lord, the spiritual world, and the blessings of the Acharyas. I'll stop here. Any questions or doubts? ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की, जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की, निताय गौर प्रेमानंद.
హరే కృష్ణ గోల్డెన్ టెంపుల్ వారి మరో అపురూప కానుక హరే కృష్ణ వాణి ఆధ్యాత్మిక మాసపత్రిక. ఇప్పుడు మొబైల్ యాప్ ద్వారా కూడా సులభంగా పత్రికలు చదువుకునే సౌకర్యం, వార్షిక సభ్యత్వం, భగవద్గీత, భాగవత ప్రవచనాలు, స్ఫూర్తి సందేశాలు, ఇంకా మరెన్నో సదుపాయాలతో హరే కృష్ణవాణి మొబైల్ యాప్ నేడే డౌన్లోడ్ చేసుకోండి. మరిన్ని వివరాల కోసం కాల్ చేయండి 91